Hi, welcome to Tales from the Cosmic Patrol. I'm Steve. I'm the illustrator of this series of graphic novels, and the instrument I'm playing, not very well, is a theremin. It's an electronic instrument that you play by waving your hands over it. And the books I'd like to introduce you to are uh, these books right here, Tales from the Cosmic Patrol, and here's another one, and there are more, but here are a few just as an example. Uh, the protagonist in Tales from the Cosmic Patrol is Captain Stephen Teepig of the Cosmic Patrol. Uh, and here are some renditions of Stephen. And Stephen, and here's one more where Stephen is being less than heroic. Uh, and the origin of Stephen T. Pig is he first came to creation in a series of children's books that I illustrated a few years back, and they're called the Sneaky Cows. Uh, this is the first uh, try at doing Sneaky Cows, and the origin of the Sneaky Cows is that my sister Pat had a sister-in-law in New York who was involved in children's publishing, and one day my sister said to me, "It's like, well, if you ever want to do a children's book, I can give it to her." Well, I thought she was an agent. She turned out not to actually be an agent, but she was a lawyer who worked in children's publishing. But given that go ahead, I thought went ahead and started doing the artwork for the Sneaky Cows. And you know, here are the first origin of the Sneaky Cows. And the premise is that when you're not watching cows, they get up to all sorts of mischief. And I'll show you some of the mischief they're getting up to here. And Candy. Uh, oh, and here's a good one. Now they steal the a farmer's tractor and his trampolines, and they jump all around. So Stephen occurred originally as just a character in the books. But then, I decided that, he would be better as a narrator. Uh, and he was given the characteristics of a pig, which were, greed and sloth and, all those, supposedly negative uh, characteristics. Here's some more pictures. Uh, and he was originally uh, a kind of a super villain or a villainous type. And here he is engaged in a bank robbery, which is being foiled by the superhero cows here. So, but the main thing to keep in mind is that Stephen originated in these books. Now, I ran into some trouble with these books, kind of right from the start, and problem was, I'll try and find you a good picture. The naughty udders. Uh, I drew the cows and Stephen as somewhat anthropomorphized figures, which gave me a lot of trouble. And the exposed udders, and you'll notice Stephen was originally without pants, uh, but in later versions I did give him pants, and also in a later version or another sequel to Sneaky Cows, the cows go into space, and this time I gave the cows all clothes, which I know sounds maybe perhaps a bit ridiculous and a bit prudish, but I asked for feedback on the cows, and I got it, and that was the feedback. And this was feedback from people I had trusted. Now, uh, before now after doing those two books, I kind of got interested in uh, doing an online store, and it's www.sneakycowstore.com. And you can check that out when you got time. I'll say it again, before giving up. But sneakycowstore.com. But I originally wanted to put art from the book in the store, which I did, but I didn't get very many sales. So then I realized that I needed to have a lot more content in the store. So I just started doing artwork just for the store, and I got more sales, but it still wasn't enough. So I realized that, you know, I needed to, add a lot more items, and that's where I got into public domain. And, I used public domain images, and, sold a lot more. But at some point, I realized that I could also, you know, put the public domain images together, and that's where I, started doing comic book anthologies. Here's one. Here's Jungle Girls. Uh, here's another. Sultry Vixens from Outer Space, and here's a third one. And this is the one I'm kind of proudest of, because I took the stories, but I also kind of used the premise that I was writing a manual on how to hunt vampires, and then the stories themselves were given as case studies of how to uh, kill and hunt vampires. And I also wrote some of my own articles, and had a lot of fun with that. And so I had these books on Amazon, uh, and I was making money, and Amazon was making money, and then they changed their policy uh, on public domain information. So I was kind of out in the cold, and I had to pull all of these books. Uh, and I kind of realized that I needed to make my own content, and uh, that's where I came up with Stephen. And I was interested in the Stephen because I thought he had more possibilities for storytelling, for adventures, and I liked a kind of style of painted art, and you see this with the artist Richard Corbin. whose work was in Heavy Metal, the magazine. But also there was an earlier work called Little Annie Fanny, which showed up in Playboy, and that was totally painted. It was uh, based on social issues of the day of the time, and it was a very risque, and I do have some problems where the main character Annie, who is kind of based sort of on Little Orphan Annie, would end the story basically almost getting raped or molested or whatever, and you know, but the main thing was that the art was just amazed me, and so I kind of took that as sort of my model, and so so I originally had Stephen. The original idea was that I wanted to take some of these stories that I had collected and loved, and uh, do a process called swipes, where I would have traced over the art and then kind of added my own art, and I was kind of looking for a fast and easy way to do it, you know, and I did one panel and I didn't like it, so I figured, it would be better to, do my own stuff. And, if it didn't look quite as good, as long as it was funny, because, this is humor, as long as it looked funny, that should be good enough. So I did, however, in the earlier uh, stories, I did kind of base them on some of the stories that I found in the comic book anthologies. And, and this was actually the first story I did. Uh, but I put it in the middle of the book because I figured, well, I'm going to get better at this. So the actual first story in the first book is Cat's Eye of the Moon. And uh, that was based on a character uh, named Captain Science. And this video is on YouTube. It's on my channel. I see that one person has liked it already, so I'm right on the way. Uh, but if you would like to find out more about my books, you go to Amazon, Tales from the Cosmic Patrol, and they're written by Stephen T. Pig.